universalautomation.org. It's about sharing a technology, a shared runtime execution engine.
We call it a game change in the automation because we have first one technology which is based on the IEC 64099, which is the standard which aims at decoupling hardware and software.
Hardware itself is becoming very, very performant in terms of processing and CPU power, and the future is more and more about software.
This approach is really a winning approach because it's very, very flexible. You develop the application once and you can reuse in each different configuration.
That's exactly what Universal Automation and 61499 enables, because it brings a new formalism for developing software, which is object-oriented in nature, and which allows deployment of a distributed hardware for the actual final control system. So let's say that it's a marriage made in heaven.
So if I want to make more conscious decisions based on my business data, which also come from the automation level, I need universal automation to get this data in an efficient way and with the right engineering efforts on the level when I can do and run the analytics.
Offers are available, not just from Schneider Electric with EcoStruxure Automation Expert, but also from Advantech, from Stahl, from ESA in Italy, and from other companies.
Advantech is growing really, really fast. And I believe if you want to keep on growing in the next future, you need to be able to innovate. And when I see universal automation approach, it is exactly the way of innovation we need to go with.
Most of our customers from process automation are pretty conservative, so never change a running system. But now we see a new generation coming up, what is used to new technologies, and they are open to test, to try these new functionalities. And I think most of them pretty well understand the advantages on this. I'm doing this now for 20 years, and I think over the years, this is the most exciting changes.
And from my experience, I see that in the IT, for example, there has been a big revolution. And I expect the same in automation. I don't know when it will happen. Probably it takes a little bit of time, but probably a revolution will come.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this new session of UAO Goes Live. Today we have a very special session because usually we have a lot of users showing us and system integrators showing us their use cases using the technology. And we decided today to change a bit things and to invite one of our member, which has been member since the beginning of the association, Advantech, which is represented by Marco. So, ciao Marco.
Ciao Greg, thanks for the invitation and good afternoon to everyone.
Thank you for making it today. I'm happy to have you today in this live session so you can introduce us a bit more to what is Advantech doing, a bit more about yourself as well, and see what you're doing with the technology. So let's start with a short introduction about yourself.
So my name is Marco Zampolli. I'm working for Advantech Europe and I am IoT Automation Product Sales Director. So I'm working for Advantech for 17 years now, and I prepared some slides that I want to share with all the audience here to speak a little bit more about universal automation and why Advantech together with universal automation.
Good. So then let's go to your presentation and let's see a bit more about Advantech and what you are doing with the technology. So go ahead, Marco. Floor is yours.
First of all, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So I already introduced myself, and right now I want just to focus a little bit more about what I'm going to present today. So this is just a short agenda of what I will introduce today. I for sure will speak a little bit about Advantech. Who is Advantech? For the people that does not know Advantech so well, we will recap a little bit. Furthermore, 61499, it is a really important standard, and I will highlight the reason why Advantech decided to be able to be here, and we are supporting the organization. Furthermore, I will show a little bit of an example about what Advantech is bringing in the market together with the 61499. And last but not least, I will have a few application studies about what we can do together and what we are able to enable together. And last but not least, I will spend some words about the cooperation with Universal Automation. First of all, I believe this is a nice slide to start with, because Advantech is a well-known company for the hardware manufacturing. So we are doing everything from the sensing to the computing to the capability of analyzing the data. So we are doing everything starting from collect. We are able to give the connectivity, so collect, compute, and create. And as you can see here on the top of the slide, you are able to see the different market we are focusing on. Mainly, we are speaking about machine builder, we are speaking about smart manufacturing, we are speaking about energy and utilities, and we are speaking about transportation. So in all of them, Advantech is able to provide something innovative, something that the end customer, that the system integrator is looking for. Second point is about the software. And here we are starting to introduce 61499. Advantech decided 5 years ago not to be only a hardware company, pure hardware company, but differentiate our proposition value with the addition of the software. The addition of the software is to be able to enable the end user experience. So Advantech is not going to be a system integrator developing the final application, the final project for the customer, but Advantech is the one really focusing on the software that can enable the hardware for the next level. Simply speaking about Advantech, Advantech is a company founded 41 years ago with a revenue of 2 billion. It means that every year our turnover is 2 billion. Furthermore, we are a public company, public listed company with a 10 billion market cap, with a lot of employees. We are speaking about around 9,000 employees, because Advantech is taking care not only about the commercialization, but is taking care about the design, the manufacturing, the distribution of the product. And here you can see where we are really active. We are speaking about smart industry, IoT for sure, embedded computing, smart city. So this mainly we can tell that everywhere where you have data that you need to get from the field, you need to bring shaped into meaningful information, Advantech is a key player over there. And here, this slide is simply to tell you what Advantech is able to do. As you can see, we have different manufacturing centers, both for being able to serve the huge customer base that we have, and also to be able to withstand with any geopolitical problem that we are able to have in this strange period. Furthermore, Advantech has a lot of local office. In the local office, you can find sales people, you can find technical people, you can find marketing people, and you can find product manager like me. And this means really reflect the aim of Advantech not to be just an hardware, just a box mover company, but something more. After this short introduction of Advantech, I would like just to start with this first simple slide to explain 61499 and why Advantech selected. So in the past, on the left of the slide, you have what was in the past. So we were having a dedicated hardware that was really solid connected to an app. So the usage of the product was connected both on the hardware side and both on the software side. But virtualization is taking place. Everything that started with the IT, with the virtualization in the IT world, now we believe that is coming also for in the OT world, where Advantech is one of the players. And as you can see on the right side, you have the capability of the independence of the hardware that can be from player A, B, or C. And you have a virtualization layer that is just abstracting the app. So not anymore the app connected to a specific hardware, but the app able to run on different hardware. Exactly what happened in the IT, now it is taking place into the OT world. And I prepare 2 slides to understand, to make the audience understand why we believe that universal automation is so important. So one of the reasons is the capability of universal automation to have a single round table with all the players inside. I'm not speaking only about the automation vendor like Advantech. I'm speaking about the system integrator, the end user, the academics, and the silicon provider. This means that everyone is not only doing his own job, but is listening. And this is shaping the future of the 61499. That's a really important point. And this is one of the key points that we appreciate from universal automation. Then, from the technical point of view, I decided to highlight 3 major points about the 61499. The first one is event-driven, simply because if you are doing automation, it is just important to have, let me say, event-driven and not only cycle task. So this is an important point. Furthermore, all the new generation are really more used to have the programmation event-driven, and that's one of the key points. Second point, what I was already highlighting, is about the software and hardware decoupling. This means that we design our application, we design our code, and then the hardware can be is completely independent. This means that we can adapt in case of need and in case of evolution. I'm speaking about to need more performance. It is quite easy, just do the modification of the code and just download it to a new powerful hardware. Third point, really important, is the code distribution. It is no more true that we have only one hardware, one single device that is running everything by itself, so you have a single point of failure. With this capability of code distribution, you can easily change and distribute and spread your code to different devices. This means that you can benefit from changing. You have a risk mitigation of the single point of failure, and you are able to run it smoothly. So less performance and more application needed. And as you can see here from this picture, you don't need to just replicate the same hardware several times, but you have a different kind of installation possible. For example, you have the container-based, the data center-based, the edge computing-based. All of them are part of the network we are speaking about for the computing part. And here I have just a point about the topology. So Advantech think that this is really an important technology, but let's come back on the hardware side. So we ported the universal automation one time on the smallest palm-sized product, embedded product, really to have powerful solution and computer solution on the edge. We are speaking about the UNO 2271-bit. Furthermore, thanks to the Modbus TCP, you are able to communicate with our AMAX solution. So Here you can see the AMAX 5070, it's just a coupler. And then we have really a wide portfolio and offering of slice I/O. Depending by the application, depending by the need of the specific installation, you can decide which kind of module do you want to have, analog, digital, or relay. And some of the highlights is for sure the dimension of the product. We are speaking about a packet of cigarette, a cigarette box. And then long life cycle, because we know that when we are speaking about industrial OT environment, the installation must have a long life cycle. Life cycle management is really important. Furthermore, these devices can be also power over Ethernet PD, power device. This means that one single cable you can have both the communication and both the power supply in one cable. Second of all, we are speaking always about efficiency. Efficiency means that if you want to have a visualization, you just need to have one. You can have one single cable to power on your monitor, bring the signal, and bring the touchscreen. So that's why we selected this kind of configuration for our customer as an offering of the 61499. And here you can see some other features. So the first one, we are speaking about the dimension. I already spoke about, we are speaking about a cigarette box. Second point is for sure about the second layer. Advantech is having this second layer model on several devices. This means that you can add a second layer, so the unit is not anymore 4 centimeters, but it is a 3 centimeters higher. And it means that depending by the installation, really on the application, you can add serial port, you can add Ethernet port without any problem. This means that with the same installation, with the same hardware, you can have really what you need for. And here I just have an overview about the slice I/O. Again, what I like to underline is that we have just only one coupler, that is the Modbus 1, and furthermore, we have the capability of having slice I/O that are only 30 millimeters depth, and you're able just to withstand. So you can create your remote I/O unit without any problem based on the installation that you are looking for, exactly there. So you don't need to do the commission to select something in advance, but when you are in the field and when you have the requirement, you can make it happen without any problem. And I believe it is also important to underline about how universal automation is working. So, of course, we have the development environment that need to be sourced independently. That is the software used by the software guys to do all the programming, the event-driven, the code, the decoupling, what we were discussing before. And then the runtime is provided by Advantech and is already inside the UNO, what I was speaking about before. So if you need, you can add LAN port, serial communication port, and as we were discussing, you can add several I/O port, digital and analog. So this is just the configuration. And in the last part of my presentation, I would like just to highlight 3 applications that can be in 3 different environments, and I will try to highlight the big advantage that you have using universal automation. Of course, these 3 examples are taken by universal automation, so the credits are belonging to universal automation. Let's start with ExxonMobil. So this company started with a clear task. They have an installed base and they want to be hardware agnostic. So they want to create their code, they want to create their software, and they want to be able to port. As you can see from this picture, the installation is really complex and the validation is taking time. So being able to have this decoupling from hardware and software means that you are able to have 20% of reduction, of improvement. And this is the key point. 20% of the time, 20% of the cost can be used to improve your final application. And this is just a process automation task. The second one is about automated warehouse, where you are using to multiple installation. So the flexibility is quite important, simply because you have a concept, but then you need always to adapt your installation from the end customer building. So this is really an important one. And here I will also highlight that it is important to have the industrial communication field bus, industrial protocols. So for example, when we are speaking about OPC UA is a protocol supported by 61499. So here you can see the benefit. So they can have flexibility, again, cost saving on your application, and faster one, simply because you have a complete decoupling. So you create your own model and then you adapt. And it is easier to get, as soon as you commission the plant, the installation, you can add all the information out of it. So that's the key point. Last but not least is something a little bit far away from the machine, from the smart factory, but I told you, we also need to take care about energy and utilities. So this is just a mining. It is a mining crusher, and I will use this solution. Before it was really PLC driven. What was wrong with the PLC? PLC was working pretty well, perfectly, but it was really rigid. So it means completely bundling of the hardware together with the software. So this was the point. And having the 61499 makes them able to have the decoupling of the software. Furthermore, when you have this complex machinery, mining machinery, it is really important to have event-driven. Event-driven is something quite used in this kind of environment, and being able to use the same concept also for the logic programming, it is something pretty useful. And again, you get benefit out of a faster deployment, a faster commissioning of your project. And this means, again, you have benefit out of the installation of the cost saving. So, Greg.
Yes.
Greg, this was my short presentation.
Thank you,
So,
Marco.
Thank you.
Someone... Yeah, so that's the good time now to enter into the Q&A session, so question and answers. And for sure, for those of you sitting on either LinkedIn or YouTube, please feel free to just write a comment and send your question to us, and we will see and be happy to answer them. Maybe just before we have the audience starting to question us a bit, I have a few questions myself, because actually the product that you were showing is not the first range that you were on which you were porting the runtime of UAO. I mean, we have already seen some of your product on which the runtime was ported, and some of those were even displayed at the SPS fair, for example. So now that you have this kind of, let's say, second generation of product, what is your experience like when it comes to porting of the UAO runtime to those platforms? Because it's always something that we say from a UAO side. Okay, we have this runtime, we have this runtime source code which is shared with all the members, and that the fact that we have implemented that helps, let's say, the technology vendors in having offers which are which embed the UAO runtime quite quickly, so in a matter of months. But from your perspective, how was it to do this porting?
Yes, you're right, Greg. It was the last part of my presentation, so thanks for reminding me. I believe the porting was so easy and so effective. So we decided which was the last, the good and the fitting product positioning offering that we want to launch in the market. And thanks to universal automation, it was just a matter of weeks to make it happen. So the porting was always smooth and without any problem.
Yeah, so that's really great to have this kind of feedback, because we see as we are going forward with the association, onboarding more and more members, especially technology vendors having offers. Sometimes they tend to think that, yeah, well, we have this new technology coming here, we have the UAO runtime and so on, but yeah, with the traditional thinking of the way of implementing things, which is like going with, let's say, industrial standards, which are usually written, where people need to implement a solution and everyone understand, let's say, the standards in his own way. Having this runtime, which is shared, is really a big benefit and a big advantage when it comes to implementation of the technology. So that's great that you can actually confirm that for you the experience was as well quite easy. And I'm just thinking as well to let the audience have some time to share some question maybe. But for those in the audience considering IEC 64099 solutions and technology, what advice would you give them as they begin their journey?
I believe first of all they need to understand which big advantage maybe they are underestimating right now, and we are speaking about the cost reduction and the efficiency improvement that 61499 can bring. This is, I believe, the first step. Second step, once you understood that you can reach it easily, I believe the second step is to be able to understand how, and what was showing just briefly, but you can find more information on the website of Universal Automation, is really making this happen in an easy and a quick way. Before, Greg, we were discussing about how was it easy to port the runtime on our product. This was an easy journey, we already told this, but I believe also for a user to adopt this kind of technology is pretty easy and really effective.
Yeah, this is as well what we something that we show, that we see from our side as universalautomation.org as the association. Maybe let's take the example, because you've shown this example, which is quite interesting, the stone crusher example that you showed just before. And when we see that, and especially in mining or in tunneling and so on, we can imagine that how was that done before? And when you have different sections, different modules, different PLCs, that you have to think, okay, I have all those PLCs, so then first I start with my hardware topology. How can I make the automation for all of this? So all those PLCs, then think, okay, each PLC is doing one task, one module. So then I do my program for this module, which is doing that task. Then I have to think, okay, now this is all one machine on one line. I have to put them all together. So I have to manage all the communication between all those pieces. And for sure, this is a lot of work. And an example that you just show with that, how is it with 64099? It's at the end just one project where we have all those modules. We see that in one, let's say, one file, one software, and then at the end we say, okay, good. Now that we have programmed all those modules which come together, I want the first module to run on this device, second module on this device, third module on this device, and this device for sure. Luckily, they are Advantech device, for example. But as you said as well in the beginning, those could be containerized. Anyway, from Advantech, you have also IPCs, so those could be containerized and just deployed to some IPCs from Advantech, for example, or could run in any other server. So that's a bit the beauty of the thing, basically. So the idea that's okay, I can deploy. I have my full project, or I have my full line in one engineering environment, which I can just deploy and just share along the line. So yeah, that's quite interesting.
I believe just summarizing everything you were telling, I'm speaking about complexity reduction. So before it was really complex and time consuming to deploy this kind of huge machine and complex machine again. But with the 499, I believe it is possible to achieve an easier deployment.
And another question which comes to my mind as well. I know it's not always easy to think about for universal automation. That's all this community of users, of vendors, of academics. But let's say, what would you tell to one of your, let's say, competitor when it comes to universal automation about the technology and the experience that you had?
As I was telling, universal automation is a game changer. So this means that something is already happening in the IT, is keep on happening, so the decoupling hardware and software and virtualization as well. So everything that happened already in the IT is going to happen in the OT. It is already happening in the OT. So it is important to understand this kind of evolution, to be there and to be proactive over there.
Yes, makes definitely sense. So I check again the chat. So today, not so many questions today. So maybe take the time to share your contact details as well with the audience in case they want to contact you for any other opportunity, especially the ones based on 64099, but as well any others which are linked to the Advantech community. I really thank you for your time, Marco. And then we'll talk later, and we'll see how things are going on with Advantech and with universal automation. So,
and Greg, thanks a lot for the invitation. Thanks a lot for the opportunity of speaking here. And if people want to get in touch with me, you shared just the mail address, so more than welcome.
Yes.
And
yes.
I will just take the opportunity to wish everyone a wonderful hot weekend.
Yes, that's a good line to end this LinkedIn Live. Very hot weekend, and maybe just one point, as we have all the people here present as well. Just to remind all of you that will be present at the IEEE ETFA 2025. This will be in September in Porto, so from the 9th to the 12th. And just know that on the 9th and on the 10th of September, universalautomation.org is co-organizing sessions and workshop. We have a few co-organizers as well, which are working with us on that. And the main topic will be IEC 64099. So if you're interested, please know that this is happening. We have a few events which are present on LinkedIn. So just click sign up and get in touch, and please take your tickets so you can join us and learn more about the technology. So thank you all, and I wish you a very nice day.
Thanks a lot.